It all started on a warm summer evening inside the packed auditorium of America's Got Talent. The crowd was buzzing with excitement as contestants from around the world lined up backstage. Some were trembling with nerves. Some were whispering prayers. Some were pacing back and forth trying to settle their breathing. But one man stood alone near the corner, quietly humming to himself as if the world had disappeared around him. His name was Angelo Reyes, a 32-year-old construction worker from Cebu, Philippines. People called him Filipino Elvis back home, not because he wore flashy suits or styled his hair like the king, but because his voice carried the same deep soul, raw emotion, and unmistakable warmth that reminded people of Elvis Presley himself. Angelo wasn't supposed to be here. Not really. He didn't come from a musical family. He didn't have professional training. He didn't even have proper shoes for the audition. He borrowed a pair from a friend the night before his flight. His life had been a long journey of sacrifices, struggles, and responsibilities. Ever since he was a teenager, he worked multiple jobs to help his mother who was battling illness. He worked construction by day, drove a local pedicab in the evenings, and sang at small events whenever he could just to earn a few extra pesos. Life had never been easy for him, but the one thing that never left him was his passion for singing. Music was his escape, his therapy, his freedom. The audition producers noticed him sitting calmly with his old guitar leaning against his leg. They approached him with curiosity, asking why he seemed so relaxed when others looked like they were about to collapse from anxiety. Angelo simply smiled and said, "I am here to enjoy whatever God gives me today. If I make it, I make it. If not, at least I tried." That calm confidence was something rare, something magnetic, and even the producers felt it. When his turn came, Angelo stepped onto the stage with slow, steady steps. He wasn't wearing a fancy jacket. He wasn't wearing makeup. He wasn't carrying props or a glittering microphone. He wore simple jeans, a plain shirt, and his old guitar strapped around his shoulder. The audience didn't know what to expect, but the moment he stepped into the spotlight, something about his presence felt different. Humble, yet powerful, soft-spoken, yet unshakably strong. Simon Cowell looked at him with his usual skeptical expression. The kind of look that scans a contestant within 2 seconds and forms an instant judgment. Simon leaned forward, crossing his arms. "What's your name?" he asked. "Angelo Reyes, sir," the Filipino answered politely. "And what will you be doing for us today?" "Singing, sir. I'll be singing an Elvis classic that my father used to play on the radio." Simon raised an eyebrow. "Another Elvis impersonator," he mumbled under his breath. The crowd giggled. Even Heidi and Sophia exchanged amused glances. It wasn't the first time someone tried to become the next Elvis, and honestly, most of them failed miserably. Angelo took his position. The lights dimmed. The soft hum of anticipation swept through the entire hall. And just as he opened his mouth to sing the very first note, something unexpected happened. Simon Cowell lifted his hand and interrupted him after barely 10 seconds. The entire hall gasped. "Stop! Stop! Stop! Stop!" Simon's voice echoed through the room. Angelo froze. The band stopped. The audience fell silent. For a moment, it felt like time itself had paused. Simon stared at him with sharp eyes. Angelo swallowed hard. Backstage, contestants watching through the monitor covered their mouths. Everyone thought it was over. Everyone thought Angelo had failed before he even began. And you could almost see the heartbreak forming in his eyes, the years of struggle flashing before his mind. Simon leaned back in his chair and said something nobody expected. "You have an amazing tone. But I want to hear you sing without the guitar. Just your voice. Raw, pure, no instruments. Can you do that?" A wave of relief washed through the audience, followed by a loud cheer. Angelo's eyes widened in surprise. He nodded softly. "Yes, sir," He put the guitar down gently on the floor. He stepped forward toward the center of the stage. His hands trembled just slightly, but his voice remained ready. When he sang the first line of Can't Help Falling in Love, everything changed. His voice didn't sound like an impersonation. It wasn't forced. It wasn't exaggerated. It was smooth yet rugged, warm yet powerful. It held the exact emotional gravity that Elvis had, but also carried a unique Filipino soulfulness that pierced through every heart in the building. His tone wrapped around the room like a warm blanket. His vibrato shimmered so softly that some audience members placed their hands over their chest instinctively. People who had been bored just seconds earlier were suddenly leaning forward, breathless. A couple in the front row began to cry. A group of teenagers pulled out their phones, recording every note. But the judges, they were in shock. Heidi's mouth slowly dropped open. Sophia looked at Simon with that "tell me you heard that" expression. Even Howie, who had seen thousands of singers, leaned closer with eyes full of disbelief. But it was Simon's reaction that stunned everyone the most. The strictest judge on the panel sat completely still. His usually judgmental, stern expression melted into something rare, genuine admiration. His eyes softened, and then, something that almost never happens happened. Simon smiled. Angelo continued singing, his voice flying effortlessly through the high notes, dipping into the low tones with heartbreaking control. Every note told a story. Every lyric carried decades of pain, hope, and resilience. He wasn't just singing. He was pouring his entire life into the melody. When he reached the final line, the hall stood in silence. A deep, emotional silence. And then, an explosion of applause. The entire audience rose to their feet. Every single person in the building was cheering, screaming, whistling. Some were crying openly, and the judges, every one of them, stood up in a standing ovation. Angelo's knees weakened as he placed a hand over his mouth. For a moment, he looked like he might collapse from emotion. He had dreamed of singing on a stage like this ever since he was a child, and now he was standing in front of a roaring crowd who celebrated him like a true star. Simon lifted his microphone. "That was unbelievable. You didn't just sing an Elvis song. You brought it back to life. I haven't felt something like that in years." The audience screamed. Simon continued, "When I stopped you earlier, it wasn't because you were bad. It's because I knew there was something even more incredible inside your voice. And you proved it, 100%. Angelo covered his face, overcome with emotion. Heidi added, "Your voice is timeless. It feels like it belongs in every decade." Sophia said, "Your singing is like a movie. We could feel every emotion in your voice." Howie concluded, "I don't just think you can go far. I think this could be one of the strongest auditions we've seen this season." The crowd erupted once again. Simon looked at his fellow judges and then pressed the button in front of him. The golden buzzer exploded. Gold confetti rained from the ceiling, sparkling like falling stars. Angelo dropped to his knees, overwhelmed. The audience roared louder. His mother watching from home in Cebu started crying through. The video call replayed in the post-interview. He had done it. Against all odds, the Filipino Elvis had claimed the moment of a lifetime. After the confetti settled, producers rushed to interview him backstage. Angelo could barely speak. His voice cracked with emotion as he shared how he almost didn't audition because he didn't think he was good enough. He told the story of working in construction under the scorching sun, singing quietly to himself as he lifted heavy blocks. He explained how he dreamed of buying better medicine for his sick mother, of giving his family a better life, of becoming someone his father would be proud of. And tonight, this dream finally began. His audition instantly went viral. Within 24 hours, the video reached millions of views, topping the trending charts in the Philippines, the United States, Canada, and Australia. People described his voice as a miracle, a gift, something the world needed, especially in times when hope felt scarce. Filipinos across the globe united in massive support, flooding the comments section with national pride. Americans wrote essays about how his voice brought them to tears. Elvis fans from older generations said they felt like they traveled back in time. Young viewers called him the most authentic singer they had ever heard. His story spread everywhere. News channels, radio shows, blogs, Facebook pages, TikTok edits. Even celebrities reacted to his audition. And soon, invitations started pouring in, from talk shows, podcasts, music producers, and global events. But Angelo didn't let any of this change him. He remained humble, soft-spoken, and deeply grateful. In every interview, he repeated the same sentiment: "I sing because it is the language of my soul. I am not special. I am just blessed." As the competition continued, people waited anxiously for his next performance. And when he returned to the AGT stage for the semifinals, he proved once again that he wasn't a one-time miracle, he was born for this. He sang Unchained Melody and delivered a performance that was even more powerful and controlled than his Golden Buzzer audition. His voice soared effortlessly. His emotional depth reached new heights. The judges were stunned. Another standing ovation. More tears. More praise. Simon commented, "I think you might be the best Elvis-style vocalist we have ever seen. Not because you copy him, but because you carry the same soul." His performance went viral again. More millions of views. More shares. More global support. By the time the finals arrived, Angelo had become the unofficial fan favorite. His story, his humility, his voice, they all formed a wave of support that carried him forward. And on the night of the finals, he sang a powerful Elvis medley that left the judges breathless. It was emotional. It was electrifying. It was unforgettable. Whether he wins or not, Angelo's journey has already changed his life forever. He has become a symbol of Filipino pride, proof that talent knows no boundaries, no financial background, no nationality. He became living proof that greatness doesn't require perfection, only heart. And that is why this story touched millions. Not because he was flawless. Not because he sounded exactly like Elvis. But because every note he sang was honest, real, and filled with the kind of emotion that cannot be taught. Angelo Reyes, the Filipino Elvis who was stopped after 10 seconds, became the man who silenced the world with his voice. And this is just the beginning. Thank you for watching. If this story inspired you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video so more people can discover this incredible journey. And always remember, real talent will always find a way to shine.